Hey everybody, Gerda Muller here, clinical psychologist and private practice success business coach and mentor. And I wanted to go live and have a chat with you guys before my kiddos get home from school, which will be in a bit. Luckily, they are taking the bus today, which means I do have a little bit of extra time to spend with all of you guys. So I'm hoping we're gonna have a couple of people hop on and join me live. It's so much more fun when that happens. So I believe just in the other room, the lovely Abby Lee is sharing this away in my Facebook group as well as on my timeline. I can see we've got the first person here, and it is my parents all the way from South Africa. It's either my mum or my dad. I don't know. I'm guessing. If I had to guess, it's my mum. Whom is it? Let me know. Of course, my parents will be on my live stream first and foremost. Welcome, good to have you here. It must be early morning back in South Africa. So if it's 2:41 here, it means it is now 6:41 a.m. in the morning, I think. So they are probably doing the early morning scrolling on Facebook whilst having your coffee thing. Who else does that? I know I do, right? It's part of the morning routine. It's like some people have their coffee, go outside and have their coffee with a cigarette. I have my coffee with my Facebook before the kids wake up, and that's a lovely way to quietly start your day. So Abby, you've shared this for us? Perfect, of course, Abby's always on the ball. So if you are joining me on the live stream and you're here live for the very first time, please let me know that you're here. Hey Janelle, so great to have you here. How's things in Melbourne? If you are watching the recording and it is the very first time you're watching, by all means also say hi and hello, because I will come back and check all the comments. So have you read the title that I have for today's live stream? It's a very interesting one, and it says, you'll never guess what I was doing between 9 a.m. and 10:30 this morning. I'm very confident that nobody is going to guess this, right? I almost feel like I can give a prize for the person that could potentially guess. You know, maybe if somebody does guess the right answer, I might give you something for it, but you need to be here live, right? Because I'm going to tell you what the answer is. Otherwise, why would you join? So if you're watching the recording, you cannot guess. Yes, so it is Wednesday here in Australia, of course, Wednesday, and good morning, Gerda, says my parents. Hello. So it is Wednesday morning, and so I had the normal morning routine, went, dropped the kids off at school and came home, and then I went and did something. I wonder if you can guess what that is. It's a very interesting activity that I have never ever done before in my life, and it was a very eye-opening experience. Okay, very eye-opening, I would say. So this is what I did. I won't keep you in suspense anymore. So I came home, and then my husband and I hopped in the car, and we drove to just another area of our suburb, and we spent the next 90 minutes dropping off junk mail flyers. Junk mail flyers. I was one of the people that were delivering junk mail flyers, and and I actually enjoyed the process of it because, look at all these pretty houses. It was very hot, right? I was so sweaty, and I was thinking, great, I'm tracking my exercise, my steps, and how far I walked. I only ended up doing 3.5 kilometers. But it was so interesting for me because it's like, I went, hey Trudy, how are you? I went and I spent 90 minutes delivering junk mail to houses in my local area, for which I get paid nothing, and I'll tell you why, right? And then I came back home, had a shower, I opened up the computer whilst I was having some coffee and my breakfast, and then I hopped on the phone with a private practice owner from Sydney to do a 45-minute mentoring session for which she paid me $500, right? So I went from delivering junk mail flyers for 90 minutes this morning, coming home, having a shower, and becoming this very professional person that does a 45-minute consulting session for $500. It's like, it does my head in. How is that even possible, right? Hey to you too, Trudy. Hey, Stacey. And it's so interesting that that was my morning today. But I wanted to link this with commitment. So why did I go and deliver junk mail folders for, not folders, flyers for 90 minutes? Okay, it seems so odd because I'm one of those people that actually takes junk mail from my post box, put it straight into the recycling bin, the yellow bin that we have, right? I really should get myself a little sign that says no junk mail, because now I also know that that's a very important rule. If you go past the post box that says no junk mail, you cannot put the mail in there, right? So I could actually be saving some papers and stuff by actually have that little sign on my post box, which I've never thought of putting on, although I know they exist. But I did it because of commitment. So commitment to who, Gerda, you might be asking. Well, my lovely 16-year-old daughter has finally gotten herself a job. So a couple of weeks ago now, she's now done about 8 deliveries, so it's pretty new. She was on a local neighborhood Facebook page, and she basically landed herself this job of delivering flyers, right? So she's currently in grade 12, and it's like, why would you wait in the first instance until grade 12 before you get yourself a job? Like here when you would need to really focus on your academics, right? But you know, she's very stubborn. I let her do her own thing. We have had this discussion. She has done some work previously at my private practice as a cleaner, cleaning the bathrooms, you know, cleaning the rooms and the whiteboards and stuff like that. And she did that when she was around about 13-14 years old, but she got bored of that so quickly, right? Because she would get it done very fast, and then she would go, oh, what now? I get bored because I sit around in reception, which I wanted her to sit there and learn things and just observe, but you know, that bores a teenager. So she hasn't done any work for some time. Not that she hasn't been applying, right? She has been putting in some resumes, but it's really tough out there, I think, if you her age. And I think it really helps if you have contacts. Anyway, she landed herself this job that she found in a Facebook group. So she has committed to deliver these flyers twice a week. So you have the midweek delivery. They deliver all the flyers. You need to see what my house looks like now, to the front door, like these boxes, not boxes, but like packets and packets of flyers. Like the most flyers we had to do is like 11. So that would be like, and the drop is for 456 houses. So it's 456, and it's normally a bit more. I think they send us like 500 because you normally need to print stuff in batches like that, in hundreds or at the 50 mark. So it gets delivered, these 11 stacks of flyers. Then you need to put it all together, right? And then you need to fold it in the little round thingy that you put into the post box. Now that job in itself takes hours and hours, okay? I have got renewed respect for the people that delivered the junk mail, okay? From now on, when I put it straight into the recycling bin, I will look at it as going, wow, somebody has spent hours and hours folding these little thingamajigs, okay? And in this case, it's my child. It takes hours, literally. So she does a midweek one, and then she does one on a weekend. So currently they deliver it by the time she gets home on a Friday. The weekend stuff is here, right? Sometimes they deliver it on the Thursday night already. The moment it gets delivered, she starts folding, putting it together. So currently, sometimes on a Thursday, but mostly Friday nights, what does she do? She folds junk mail flyers. Then she would do some more, finish it off, and she would like go to bed at 1 a.m. while still having sport the next day, because she needs to start delivering it the next day, and by Sunday a certain time it needs to be done. It's actually a massive job. and it's taking hours to just do the folding. And then it takes her 4 hours to do the delivery if she does it by herself. Now, my husband has been helping her over the weekend, and they've been doing that as a bit of bonding, right? Where they do that together. And what I would tell you for this job, you get, I think the average she gets for a weekend job is $60. That is all the folding time, all the delivery time. And the average for the within the week jobs is $80. I mean, you are working literally for peanuts. Again, so much respect for the people that deliver these things, right? So really, you're working for nothing. She has been so excited with the pace that she's been getting, right? Because I went from X amount of dollars and I've got now so much already. Because it makes a difference to your bank account. You know, every $100 is like, oh, I've got more money in the bank account. So she's really been enjoying it. She's been so dedicated to doing the folding, and you know, I've been happy with her doing it as well, but it takes a heck of a lot of time. And this week she just couldn't get to the midweek delivery because it came on Sunday, but it was her father's birthday, so we had family commitments on and stuff that we did. And then Monday she has choir after school, and she was actually feeling sick and not too well. I've been sick for the last week or so, so I'm thinking she got a bit of that from me, and she didn't do any folding Monday night, which meant that yesterday when she came from school, she spent the whole night folding. She only finished at midnight folding all the little flyers. And when she comes home from school today, which is normally 3:45, she literally has until 6 p.m. to deliver all of the folders. And we know that is like 2 hours, 15 minutes. Let's say 2 hours if it takes her 15 minutes to change into her joggers and activewear and then to go and do deliveries. And it takes 4 hours. So me and my husband had no choice but to go and do 2 hours of deliveries this morning. We got 2 hours done in 90 minutes because who's very productive and solution focused, and I taught him a thing or two about doing it faster, right? So we did this on her behalf. Why? Because we committed to it, right? Yes, it is her commitment, but we are helping her with it. But we also told her tonight when she comes in, she's going to have to text the lady that arranges it and really say that it's not working, the midweek commitment, it's too big, and ask for a smaller job. So there's another area where it's only 200 and something houses, so it's less work, or alternatively to drop the midweek commitment and only do the weekends, which she can do, which is easy done, right? It still takes a lot of hours, but she can do that. And I must say, I've been very impressed with her reframe of the little income from it, because the way she looks at it is she says, well, Mom, now I'm getting paid to exercise. Well, isn't that amazing? Hallelujah. I love that as well. But we now need to give notice, right? Now, I'm sure if I wanted to, because this is like a casual arrangement, I could just go, no, we're not doing it. But we're going to give 2 weeks notice, right? And it's so important, I feel, to now already teach my child professionalism in the way that she acts as a business professional, right? Because the form that they do, she's not employed, they call them independent distributors. So no, you don't have an ABN, so you just get paid a set amount of money and that's it, right? And it's not a lot of money, as I've already mentioned. But getting her to give 2 weeks notice, really helping her with the midweek delivery so that she can fulfill her commitment to this person, because we know this is an ongoing job, it's always there, and if we just go on, we're not doing it as of next week, we're really creating a problem for this other person, right? And we want to do this in the right way. No problem. So we want to do it on the right way, and we committed when we started. The lady said that, it's a casual arrangement, you don't really need to give notice, but I would really appreciate it if you can give us 2 weeks notice if you can't make something. Because I was also very upfront when I said that during exam block it's going to be really hard for Cassidy to get it done, so during those periods we won't be able to do it. She said no problems at all. As soon as you know when exam block is, let us know. We got those dates, we told her about it, all of that type of thing, right? And I think the fact that I'm motivated enough to go, you know what, I'm going to take time out of my schedule to go and drop off flipping junk mail folders is because I want to set a responsibility for my child first and foremost. Hey Dorita, hoe gaan het met jou? First and foremost, I want to set an example to my child in terms of how important it is that if you have committed to something to do it. Yes, I have helped her fulfill her commitment today because of that extenuating circumstances over the weekend, my husband having a birthday, you know, she being unwell on Monday. Next week, she needs to start folding on Sunday night already as soon as those flyers gets delivered. It's a huge job, right? But really wanting to teach those really important values that life does not just revolve around you and your wants and your needs, you know, that whatever you do and decide, yes, you need to think about yourself. Yes, you shouldn't be always putting yourself at the bottom of the list, but there's a balance to this stuff, right? You also don't want to make decisions without thinking of how stuff impacts on other people. And I suspect the reason why I just went, yeah, I'm gonna go help today, and is because it is so important for me that my child or my kids realize how important it is that if you give your word, that if you give your commitment, that you stick to it. I mean, it's a completely different story if you land up in hospital, right? And you can't do it. That's like extenuating circumstances. Or if somebody's died or something like that, right? Nobody can, you know, fault you when it's a situation like that. And as I was actually walking this morning, listening to some music, doing the deliveries, I just started to reflect on that because I kept on thinking, this is so crazy, right? Because I knew I had to get home in time to do this 11:30 consult with this practice owner. I kept on thinking, here I'm walking for probably 3 cents a minute, 3 cents an hour, whereas normally I get paid like $500 for 45 minutes. It's just crazy what I'm doing right now, but it's so important. It's so important to give that message to my child and to live my values, which is commitment, right? And I suspect that's why I get so darn annoyed whenever we have employees, and it's generally subcontracting team members, clinicians at the practice, that you know, that would give a certain commitment to staying with our practice, and then they go back on their word. All right, now it seems like my phone's not charging. It is plugged in. It says low battery. So generally when we have clinical team members coming on board to the practice, we ask them to stay a minimum of 2 years, right? Because we know that it's a very personal relationship that you have with your psychologist, very, very personal. And we want to ensure that when clients come through our doors, that they know that this is going to be their person. You know, they're going to start talking to this person, spill their guts basically, and you know, they can know they don't have to repeat themselves over and over again, because it's not an easy thing to do. And I really get so annoyed. I mean, this doesn't happen that often, but it does happen, and it really irks me when I've had a conversation with a clinician and I've said this is what's involved, you know, at the practice, and I really paint the picture of everything that we do, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I always go, this is the ugly. This is what people tell me they don't like about working in private practice. And it's normally like, you know, the admin related to it and the paperwork, because let's face it, we're psychologists. We love helping people, talking to them, but we don't like the admin that goes with it. But it's such an important part of what we do, and it's mandated actually as part of our registration. And I get really frustrated when somebody gives a commitment to, let's say, stay with the practice for 2 years, and then 6 months in they decide to leave. Okay, and sometimes they just go, I didn't realize that, it's going to be this hard work. Or, something happens and changes in their circumstances, or they go, I've had another opportunity to get into public health and I've always wanted to work there because maybe I want to have a baby and go on maternity leave, right? And a lot of times there's a lot of real and what I would call, legitimate reasons for it, but it still irks me. And it's because I have such a strong commitment value, right? It's the reason why we also ask our clinician team not to give 2 weeks notice before they leave, not to give 4 weeks notice, but to give 8 weeks notice, to really give each and every client an opportunity to have closure, to maybe finish off their sessions and their treatment, their counseling plan with this person if that's their choice to do so, and if that is doable, for there to be sufficient handover time, right? During that period. And it all comes down to commitment. The fact that as a practice, we commit to helping this client. As a clinician, they commit to staying with us for a certain period of time. As a practice, we commit to supporting them, and to helping them to also love private practice the way that we do. It's our commitment as a practice to support our community. Commitment is the basis of so many things that happens, and I think it's also part of what's given our practice a really good reputation over the years, because we also have a very strong commitment to our referring doctors, and through the relationships and the connections that we build with them, right? We are committed to them. If we say we're going to do something, we do it. If we say we're going to do something, we follow through. We don't make excuses. We don't make justifications. And that is such an important value for me. It's something that I expect therefore my team to live according to. And when people don't, and this is not just in my team, everywhere in my life, that really triggers me, right? And I often have to remind myself that, people have got different values to me, which is why as a business owner, and, whether you're a practice owner or any type of business owner, it's why it's so important to know what your values are. It's why it's so important to recruit and hire team members, doesn't matter what role they play at the practice, that shares those similar commitments to what it is that you have, right? Because if they don't share it, and especially these core values, of which commitment is one of mine, integrity is another one of mine, and I think those two are very interlinked, right? Because integrity for me is doing what you said you're going to do, which is really commitment as well, but it's about being ethical, staying true to your word. So those two are so closely related, and I think I have both of them as strong values, and therefore when people do not act in integrity, it really rubs me the wrong way. It triggers me when people do not keep to their word, when they don't keep to their commitments. Again, it really rubs me the wrong way, and I need to be very mindful and self-aware of my reactions and behaviors when that happens, right? It's about knowing what is your button, so that when somebody pushes it, you can deal with all the stuff that's underneath there, all the emotional stuff, and so you can step back and you can then step again into the manager role or the leader role, whatever role it is that you play in your business, so you can come from a professional place and have a professional, non-emotional discussion, right? But I guess the bottom line is that the thing that I did this morning, delivering junk mail, just made me remember that value, right? And I would encourage you to really sit and reflect and think about what is those values. What is the top 3 values that you have in your business, in your practice, because you need to be aware of it in order to practice self-awareness. It's only when you truly are in tune with those values that you can catch yourself having an emotional reaction to when stuff happens, right? So that you can then more easily contain those emotions, especially in the situation, because you're a business owner and you're a manager or supervisor or team leader. You can't just go off at people. That's not okay, right? Doesn't matter even if you think they're doing the wrong thing. it doesn't give you reason to go off at a person. You need to contain your own emotions and then come from a place of professionalism, which is an important value for me as well, of professionalism, a place of logic, and just having an open and honest communication, maybe reminding them of their commitment that they've made and seeing if you can find a solution around that. Fact of the matter is, a lot of times people are going to disappoint you. It just happens, right? And it's important to remember that it's not always about you when that happens. When people disappoint you, it's generally when they are acting in a way that is in contradiction to your own values. Okay, now, that might necessarily make them wrong. It might make them wrong in your eyes, but not in their eyes. And I have found very often, once people have mentally made a decision about their employment, about their work, about what they're going to say yes or no to, that's it. And people will find ways and reasons to justify their decisions in a way that they can feel okay about it. And therefore, getting into an argument about it is rarely helpful, right? Because they've already decided. And therefore, again, it's so important. And when you do recruit, that you get people that is a great aligned fit to your values and the values that you want your team as a whole and your business to pursue, that culture that you want to create in your practice and in your organization, right? Because you are going to be that one constant object that's always going to be in the business. People are going to come and go. Even those people that stays 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, they're still going to leave at one point or another. You as the business owner are going to be that constant object. So it needs to be that culture that you want to create, because you want to get up every morning with a smile, can't wait to get into practice, can't wait to work on your business, on your organization, right? And you won't be able to do that if it's not your values. So I've shared so many things now. Let me just refresh my page and see if we've got any comments. Hey Noni, I see you've joined us as well. Let me have a look here, because of course I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Janelle says, gotta love junk mail delivery. I was not so committed all those years ago. Hated the folding. Yes, and the thing about the folding is when you're done, your hands are like black from the ink, like literally black. I can see everywhere Cassidy goes to switch off light switches on and off, it's like black. Is that, yeah, Cassidy's been here, right? And I've also been helping her a bit with that, but it's such a huge job, all I can say. Hats off to her for doing it though, and she's loving the income and she's loving being paid for delivering flyers. So yes, let's summarize what it is that I really wanted to share with you guys, and that is to first and foremost, have self-awareness about your values. What is those top 3 values? Why are they so important to you? So that when somebody pushes that value button, when somebody else acts in a way that is in opposition to your values, that you can contain your emotional reaction and really react from a place of professionalism, an adult perspective, not like a child, although sometimes that would be nice and fun to do, right? But really from an unemotional point of view, so you can stay professional and also remind yourself that it's not personal, right? That person is acting from their values, you are acting from your values. And although it can really hurt when there's that clash of values, you always need to come back to knowing that you are doing what's aligned for you and you are addressing any issues that come up from a non-emotional perspective, because you have that sense of awareness and you can be professional in that situation. But again, you can try, and I say try because you're not always going to be successful, right? You can work on, let's use that word. I don't really like the word try. You can work on actively towards hiring people that shares in your values, hiring people that's going to be happy to get on the bus with you and work with you in a values-based, aligned fashion towards getting to your goals and vision for your business. And that's going to make the journey so much more pleasurable, right? And if you notice that you do have people on that bus that's not in alignment, my recommendation is to help them exit the bus, because otherwise they're gonna offer you a lot of frustration, but that's a complete another live stream. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. Get the house ready for some afternoon tea for the boys, because they're always hungry as lions as they get home, and Cassie will probably want something to eat before she does the last of her deliveries. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Would love to hear your comments on it. We'll come back and answer those for you as well. And remember, guys, all you need to do is say yes to your very own ultimate level 5 private practice. We'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.